Hello and welcome to Big Foodie Geek. I hope you're all well. Now, if you've been on the channel before, you may know that sometimes I make giant food. Oh, that might have worked, Oh, that worked. Yes! Okay, I am literally a big foodie geek, so making giant food makes sense. But today we are going in the opposite direction. We are not going giant today, we are going small. In fact, so small, it's tiny. Now I don't mean that, behave yourself. I mean tiny baking. Look at it. I saw this on an ASMR channel a while ago. It was probably like over a year ago. And I thought that is so cool. That is so silly. That is going to be ridiculous for me. So I have to do it. I have to do the tiny baking. It's very, very cute. Look at it. Look, it's got all the little utensils in there that you need for tiny baking. So it's got things like the tin and a rolling pin and a knife and all those kinds of things. And I thought, let's give it a go. Let's try it and do some tiny baking instead of like big, huge baking. Let's really, really scale it down. So I'm going to give this a try today. It looks a lot of fun. It's going to be a bit more relaxed today. A lot of the giant foods can be really stressful for me. Hoping this one will be a bit more relaxed, a bit more chill, and whatever comes out of it, well, it's a bit of fun. I'm not expecting a grandiose meal out of it. It's going to be literally probably like one bite of food, that's it. But I thought, let's give it a go. Let's see how it turns out, and let's see if I can make some tiny baking. Let's give it a go. So I thought first, let's have a quick look at everything that comes in the tiny baking kit. And you can see there's already a lot of very cute stuff in here. So I'm going to take it all out and then we can take a closer look, because you don't need to see me taking all of this out of the plastic packaging. So here are our tiny baking utensils. Let's go through them all quickly. So we've got a mixing bowl, a little mixing bowl for mixing all our stuff up in. We've got a sheet with some little cake molds and little cupcake molds. So those are absolutely adorable. And these, look at these are incredible. These are little finger mitts. They're not oven mitts, they are finger mitts. They go on the end of your fingers like this, so you can pick up your hot things without burning your fingers. Look at those. Those are absolutely adorable, and they do just about fit on my fingers. Look at those. You just use them for like picking things up like this. This is our little pie pan, and under there we've also got our little cookie sheet, baking sheet under there as well. We've also got a little rolling pin, a mixing spoon with a long handle so we can get into our mixing bowl, a little pizza slice for picking up slices of pizza or pie or whatever we're going to make, a little pizza cutter. These are all plastic, obviously. There's no metal amongst all of this. It is for kids, really, or big kids like myself. We've also got a little wee knife. Again, not metal. It's not sharp. It's just, enough for cutting through pastry or something like that. No damage will be done with this. Well, this is me, so I'm sure I'll find a way. Finally, we've got our wee spoons. We've got 1 wee spoon, a half wee spoon, and a 1/4 wee spoon. And that makes up all our little tiny utensils. So we are going to make something with these today, and we've actually got a tiny book of baking to help give us some ideas. And we've got things in it like double-decker chocolate cake, peanut butter cookies, strawberry shortcake, pot pie, all kinds of things in here. But I think today we are going to try the lattice crust fruit pie, because I actually have everything that I need for making this today. It's quite straightforward. All we need is like pre-made pie crust. I don't have pie crust, but I do have pre-made pastry. Need some cherry or blueberry fruit preserves, which I've got, sugar, cornstarch, which I've kind of got, and flour and egg. So I've already got all these things. So we are going to make the lattice crust fruit pie today. And that's hopefully how it's going to look with its cool little lattice top. I don't have any small animals to gather around it. I do have Roko, but she's a cat. She'll be completely indifferent and she'll probably get fur all over it and absolutely not care. So let's get started with making our tiny fruit pie. Okay, I've got all my little wee utensils here that I'm going to need for this recipe. I've given them all a wash because hygiene. So the first thing I need to do is preheat my oven. I've already done that. Then on a lightly floured surface, roll out a small piece of dough. So I've got my flour here. Let's flour our surface. Not sure how light it needs to be for such a small recipe, but let's just go safe and make sure it is well floured so we don't get any stickage. Then I've got a little tiny piece of short crust pastry here, which I had from another recipe that I made. So we will pop that down here. Let's get it coated in the flour so it's not going to stick. And I've got my little rolling pin here. So let's get this rolled out. I'm not sure how good this is going to be. Does it roll? Oh, there we go. We are getting somewhere with it. It's never going to be the best rolling pin ever, but we're getting there. We're getting there. There we go, let's see if that's enough. Hopefully, yeah, that is big enough to go around our little pie dish. Now I've got to trace around it with our wee knife. So let's hold it in place and get our little wee knife. Let's see if that comes away. Yeah, there we go. And then we've got to take our dough, I've got to be very careful with it, and pop it into our little pan. And then I've got to bring up it just around the edges, all those edges covered. Come on, Matthew, try and keep it in shot. I know you're not used to working with all this like fine, delicate little precision going on, but try and keep it together. There we go, that will do. As much as it pains me, I'm not going to clear up this flour yet because I think I'm still going to need it. So now I'm going to get my mixing bowl. I've got to mix together the sugar, cornstarch and the preserve. I've got this lovely Morello cherry preserve from Waitrose because we're going fancy AF today. Hopefully this will do nicely. And we're going to need 6 wee spoons of our cherry preserve. So let's go in. Then we need 1 wee spoon of sugar. I'm not sure why, because jam's got a load of sugar in it anyway, but in it goes. That's golden caster sugar. And then we need a 1/4 wee spoon, so tiny, of our cornstarch or corn flour. And in I go with my mixing spoon and combine it all together. There we go. And then I've got to pop this into my pie crust, pie base. Fill that out to all the edges. Then I've got to roll out some more dough to make some strips which will form our lattice crust. So that's why I kept all this flour on the board. Let's try and roll this out again. It's always tough to start with. There we go, hopefully that'll be big enough. Now I've got to slice this into 8 strips of dough. I'm going to cut off the little smaller edges. Actually, will this be easier with our little pizza cutter? Maybe. Actually, yeah, that's better. So there's 1, 2. Come on, ADHD, don't get bored, you're nearly there. There we go. So we've got enough there for some spares in case I make a hash of it, which is always possible. Right, I've cleaned my board down this time so we can get our pie back. And then I've got to lay over 4 strips of pastry, leaving overlap on each end. 1, 2, 3. No, that's not straight. Oh dear. And 4, let's try and even that up a bit actually. I'm not going to use that one. There we go. Let's use that one instead. Oh, careful. This is a tricky part. Here we go. Actually, I'm going to turn it that way because that's the way it is in the instructions. And I've got to gently lift strips 1 and 3, and then lay strip 5 across those ones. And then I've got to lower strip 1 and 3 back over that. And I've got to lift 2 and 4. And lay that one across, then lower that back down, and then just repeat. There we go. It's not the tidiest in the world, but it's very intricate, and I don't do intricate. Then when all the strips are in place, pinch the edges to seal them to the lower crust and break off any extra dough. See if I can tidy this up a little bit quickly. Let's pinch them onto the edge. And let's use our little knife to cut off any excess. There we go, there's our very wonky lattice, but it's still a lattice. Now it says to place the pie on the cookie sheet and then bake it for 10 to 15 minutes, but it hasn't said anything about the egg. Now I'm going to assume we're going to do a quick egg wash, so let's do that. Unfortunately, I don't have any miniature brushes, so I'm just going to have to be as delicate with this as possible and get the egg over our pastry. There we go. I don't want to go too mad and potentially just make that look even rougher than it does now. And then let's pop that onto our little tiny baking sheet. So in we go with our tiny pie. I'm putting it onto a bigger sheet in there because it will hopefully stop it from falling through the shelf. And then that goes in for 10 to 15 minutes. Let's do 10 minutes because the last thing I want to do is burn it. Bye bye tiny pie, please come out okay. Okay, it has been 10 minutes and take a look at this. Check out my tiny little pie. That has come out not bad in the end. A little rough looking, but what do you expect? It was very, very delicate. And zoom in on that. Hello little pie. It looks like a little tiny pie though. I mean, look, it's got like the little ooze, it's got some little colour on it. It's come out pretty nicely, consider, you know, who made it. Captain Not Delicate whatsoever. That is the cutest pie I've ever seen. All that's left to do is to try it, but I'm going to leave it to cool down a little bit so I don't burn my mouth. We might cut a slice out. I mean, seems excessive, but I mean, come on. But let's see if we can get an actual slice out of it as well. Okay, our pie's had a little bit of time to cool, not loads, but long enough for us to try and get a slice out without me horribly burning myself. So let's go in with our little wee knife. Let's get the other side of that bit of lattice. No hope of getting this out here in one piece, but let's give it a try anyway. Trying not to, oh no, I'm bending my knife. I'm bending my knife. This is what happens when you let a giant handle tiny tools. No jokes, please. Okay, let's try and get in with our little pie server. Oh, it's sort of coming out. It's sort of coming out. It's sort of there. It's sort of there. It's 85% intact, I'd say. Look, I'm gonna put it in my bowl, in my little bowl, along with the bit that I kind of missed. But that came out better than I thought it did. Look at our little tiny slice of pie. Nothing left to do but taste that pie. There is my little slice of pie. Let's see how it tastes. Look at this is ridiculous. I've got myself a teaspoon to eat it with. It's going to be literally one bite, but I'm sure it still tastes nice. Cheers. That is a perfectly tasty little bit of pie. It is delicious. It's cherry pie, but very tiny. Very, very tiny. But it was perfectly cooked, you know, just for the size of it, it was perfectly cooked. That was a lot of fun. That's all it was today. A bit of fun, a bit of silliness, a bit of lightheartedness, because goodness knows we all need it a bit, I know I do. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of fun. I hope you enjoyed the tiny baking. And if you want to see more tiny baking, I've got a whole recipe book over there of little tiny baking. So let me know if you want to see more tiny baking. To be fair, you're probably going to see more tiny baking whether you want to or not, because I have got all the tools for it. So I enjoyed myself and I hope you did too. But if you did enjoy this, then obviously like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to find out when new videos go up. And otherwise, take care of yourselves. Bye from me, bye from my tiny pie, and I will see you next time on Big Foodie Geek, not Tiny Foodie Geek. Till next time, bye bye.